Hello and welcome to another history tutor video. And today it's a quick video. We're just going to look at the Rhineland very quickly and some of the source skills around that incident for the AQA 1980-1939 topic. So do have a little revision of your Rhineland knowledge. You can look at my Hitler Road to War revision and find out about the Rhineland incident, and then join me to work through some top-level source skills. So here we are with our source question, and we're going to be looking at the how useful are two sources question. In particular, we're going to look at this one. How useful are sources B and C to the historian studying how Hitler increased tension in the 1930s? So we're going to look at this incident of Rhineland and the remilitarization of that for this source. You can imagine a second source probably might be a totally different incident, might be another issue. But we're obviously going to practice revising remilitarization of Rhineland and our source skills here with just this one source. So firstly, what's the message of the source? Have a look through. What do you see are the key bits of evidence in the source, and start to think about what their meaning is. And the next slide, I'll show you some of my thoughts about the key messages. So you can pause, have a look. What do you think are the key details in the source, and what do they suggest? So here's my ideas then. So obviously we've got the goose wearing a military hat and suggesting that it's quite militaristic. And of course, it's carrying lots of weapons as well, as I pointed out there, again, suggesting it's quite militaristic. We've got lots of Nazi flags in the window. So the people are quite supportive of this. People around this area in the Rhineland are happy. The goose has a Nazi symbol on its chest, suggesting obviously it's a Nazi policy. It's a Nazi thing happening here. And the goose is carrying an olive branch with sort of peace written on it. Now, just generally, the olive branch means peace. There is some cartoons around the League of Nations and the Treaty of Versailles with Woodrow Wilson carrying olive branches and doves carrying olive branches. So just being aware that that means peace. And Locarno Treaty is on the floor. Now, you might remember the Locarno Treaty of the 1920s, that the Locarno Treaty, of course, is a treaty accepting the border changes of the Treaty of Versailles, and that Britain is the guarantor of it. So Germany, Belgium, and France all accepted that treaty, their new Treaty of Versailles border changes, and Britain should be acting to try and ensure that everyone keeps this. So is there a role for Britain now that Germany has remilitarized the Rhineland? Okay. We also got the talking there as well, as if like this is an accidental move by the Germans. They just sort of wandered into the Rhineland as well. So what is the general message you're going to take from this? So what you're going to suggest is the big message about the remilitarization of Rhineland and how it increases tension. Have a think. What would you say is the big message? So here's what I've gone for. Obviously, the German army is destroying peace by going into the Rhineland, as the goose has lots of weapons and a small olive branch, suggesting they're not that bothered about peace. Also, Locarno has been destroyed. This suggests Britain has failed as it's promised to uphold the borders of Europe. So now let's think about how we're going to write this. So remember, we've talked about these source success criteria before. We're looking for our appeal paragraphs. We want a clear message from the source. In terms of our content, we want to explain that with factual knowledge about the Rhineland events and then the impact of that on increased tension. We want to evaluate ways it is useful and not useful. It's a how useful question. We can talk about useful twice. We can talk about not useful twice. We can talk about useful and not useful. We're not forced by AQA to do a definite useful paragraph and a definite not useful paragraph. We have a choice. It's our argument on the AQA exam board. And for top marks, you should give provenance analysis, and you should also have a very clear viewpoint on how useful it is in your answer. So let's give this a bit of a go, shall we? Again, quick fire video, so we're just going to go through it very quickly. Hopefully revise your Rhineland knowledge. If you haven't, then have a look at my Hitler Road to War videos for the sort of 33 to 37 time period. We talk about the Rhineland in that video, and you can sort of revise your knowledge there. So here we have then our source writing frame. So we need to be making a viewpoint, first of all. The source is very or partly useful. Make a decision, make it clear, and then explain why it increases tension, the action and how the source is showing that. Give a source message, then explain with your knowledge, then why this is useful. Okay. And then, of course, you can do your link, your evaluation. Maybe it's a furthermore, it's very useful. However, it's not very useful, and you can obviously use your provenance in that section to help you develop that idea. Okay, so let's go through this example then. So source B is very useful about how Hitler increased tension in the 1930s because it shows his aggression and intention to destroy the Treaty of Versailles. So there we are. There's the big argument, the intention to destroy the Treaty of Versailles. So what would you do now? What would you say from the message to back up that argument? Have a think for yourself. What would you add in now? So here we go. Here's my evidence of how I'd support that. So, for example, the source suggests that Germany was militaristic and threatening towards France. Also, small old France suggests they only want peace to a small degree. So, obviously the goose is militaristic. We can see that with the weapons, and obviously this action is threatening France. If we don't feel we've made that clear, we can always give a bit more knowledge there. Now, so how are we going to explain how the source is useful with our knowledge? Okay, so what knowledge would you add in here to back it up? Again, pause and have a think about it. What would you add in? Here's what I've gone for. So this means the source is useful about Hitler increasing tension as France reacted badly to the remilitarisation of the Rhineland, started rearming and developing defences against Germany like the Maginot Line. They also strengthened the Franco-Russian alliance with Germany. Okay, so now we've got impacts. Yeah, it's an impact question. How is this increasing tension? France is really not happy. What can we talk about with a furthermore or a however? I'm going to go with a furthermore, that the source is very useful because I've said it's very useful at the top. So I've got to do a furthermore. I can't say however if I'm going to say it's very useful. So furthermore, the source is useful because now it's a British cartoon from Punch magazine. It's 1936. Obviously, the event has happened. It's at the end of it. So what could we say about it being a British cartoon from the end of it? What do you think you could say makes it useful? Is there any knowledge you could talk about at this stage? Well, have a think. Okay, here's what I've gone for. So obviously it's a British cartoon that is criticising the British role in the events. Of course, Britain should have done more with Locarno, maybe. This is because Britain had promised to protect the border changes of the Treaty of Versailles when they accepted at Locarno. Germany is not ignoring this, and is clearly destroying the Treaty of Versailles. Due to the Abyssinian crisis distracting the British Army, Britain does not cannot stop remilitarisation of Rhineland. So you may be aware that it's a time where the Abyssinian crisis is going on. The British Army is actually in North Africa in case there's an escalation, they need to be involved. And that's why they can't really do anything. Great Depression again to have an impact. Britain's not militarily very strong at this time. They've made cutbacks. They can't be in two places at once. So overall, the story is very useful, the source, because we learn that the events in the Rhineland give Hitler a clear message that he can destroy Versailles without any intervention from League of Nations, Britain or France. Of course, and you can talk about that whole divided strategy, of course, by now, if you like. Britain are going to start appeasing with the Anglo-German naval agreement. France are going to start defending their borders with the Maginot Line. The League of Nations is dead. Everyone's split with their own particular ideas. Okay, well, I hope you found that video useful, and it's given you a quick bit of source skills about the Rhineland, and it's also helped you think about the consequences of the Rhineland events. Okay, well, look out for more videos coming soon on this topic, but bye-bye for now.